Good evening, Namaste. This is Madhu Vottery. I'm the ICOMOS India NSC CT coordinator. And this is our fourth episode for Connecting the Dots Season 2 webinar. And in these webinars, we have been talking about connecting with other groups of ICOMOS. Ours is cultural tourism. We have the other group of NSC historic towns, cities, and villages, and intangible cultural heritage. And I repeat why we are celebrating the festivals, because the biggest festival for India right now is Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. We are celebrating 75 years of Indian independence. Plus, we have 50 years of World Heritage. So we thought, let's look into our own festivals, which are lesser known from different parts of the world. And interestingly, we are connecting very beautifully. Today's episode, we have some very brilliant three speakers. The first one is Dr. Satnarayan Dyanapalli. He is from Hyderabad, Tribal Museum Director. Another we have Roshini from Bangalore. And then the third speaker is Nandhini. So Dr. Satya, with your permission, I read the introduction. I really have the honor of introducing my good friend, Dr. Satnarayana. He is the curator of Tribal Museum, Government of Telangana. He did his PhD on the environmental history of Telangana and has written about 20 books on the subjects of Telangana history, culture, religion, art, craft, literature, tourist places, and the tribes, exploring primary facts. He brought into limelight several rock art sites, inscriptions, and heritage tourist sites, natural and built. He contributed chapters on history to BA and MA courses in the universities of Telangana. He acted as the president of Andhra Pradesh History Congress, Ancient Section in 2015-16. The government of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana Tourism Department has conferred upon him awards for the excellence in travel writing for the years 2013 to 17 at the Telugu University. But the university have honored him with Kirti Puraskaram and Sahitya Puraskaram for the years 2014 and 2016. So with this quick introduction, I request Dr. Satnarayana to start his presentation. Are you ready, Dr. Satya? Should I share the screen?
Thank you. Good evening to everyone. This is Satyanarayana Devanapalli. I am working as curator of tribal museums of Telangana, government of Telangana. As per the advice of our friend Madhu Vottery, I am presenting this paper, whatever presentation. This talks about folk and tribal traditions, especially jatras or fairs of Telangana region, this Deccan region. And one of the most important tribal festival of this region is Medaram Jatra. Medaram Jatra, in fact, a tribal Jatra. Medaram, in fact, a place, the name of a place where goddess Sammakka and Saralamma. Saralamma is said to be the daughter of Sammakka. So both are daughter and mother. They were worshipped by Koyas in the history in 1138 AD or so that we have references. So finally, what I wanted to tell you is Medaram is a place where goddess Sammakka and Saralamma are worshipped by tribal community called Koya. And why it is important? Because it receives 1.25 crores of people in a span of 4 days only. So the total population of Telangana is 4 crores only. Out of the 4 crores population, 1.25 crore people will participate in that 4-day long celebration of Medaram Jatra. So this is located in a distance of 250 kilometers from the state capital city, Hyderabad. This is the largest tribal fair in the world. In fact, in a span of 4 days, there is no place to receive 1.25 crores of people in the world. So in Indian context, this is the second largest community, second largest fair in India also, only after Kumbh Mela So that is the reason why this Medaram Jatra came to be called as Kumbh Mela of Telangana or Kumbh Mela of tribals. So it is held once in 2 years. Yeah, that means biennial festival or biennial fair. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
Yeah, I'm just trying.
Okay, so this is the photo which you are seeing in the picture, taken in 1965 or so by one MLA, in fact Krishna. He has snapped this photograph in 1960s. You can see clearly there are only 6 or 7 huts, that much only. Only 6-7 huts are there in Medaram village in 1960s also. So that is the photograph, and you can see the people who attended the fair. Only in the bullock carts people attended, but there was a huge gathering also. That is also important. This is second one. The third one is the background. You can see in the background you will see only hills and valleys.
Okay.
So the location is interior place. So even today that is called Etur Nagaram Wildlife Sanctuary. Bison horns are found here and there while going to the Jatra and coming back also on the coming back also. You will find bisons also. So this is the thing. Even today, that is agency area. There are only 150 huts today, but in 1960s there were only 6-7 huts only. So that much small festival or fair, biennial fair, became a huge fair of the world today. Why? We will come across the things. Next slide, please. Yeah. So now we have a interest thing of history. When this Jatra came into being, there should be evidence also. That should be clinching evidence also. So there is a dynasty called Kakatiyas in Telangana, and Kakatiyas declared their independence in 1163 AD, and this declaration was proclaimed by Kakatiya Rudradeva, the king, in 1162 AD. So after declaring his independence in 1162 AD, he constructed a temple of 1,000 pillars in Hanmakonda, their capital city. So this is located in about 140 kilometers from Hyderabad. So after proclaiming his this thing independence, he laid down this inscription also, what you are seeing in the picture. In this picture, he mentioned that his father Prahlad II defeated Koya kings. Why I am citing the example of Koya kings? Because these goddesses, Samakka and Saralama, belong to Koya community, and their relative, their forefather was defeated by Prahlad II. This was claimed in this stone inscription. That happened in 1138 AD. Thereafter, Prahlad II's son Rudradeva became the king, and he also defeated these Koya kings, and one name was Edamaraju. So this Edamaraju was also relative to goddess Samakka and Saralama. So he was defeated in 1159 AD. So in 1159 AD, Edamaraju, Gundaraju, Samakka, Saralama, and their Samakka husband Pagididda Raju, these people were also defeated by Rudradeva, the king of Kakatiya dynasty. That was mentioned in this inscription, and he clearly mentioned that Edama Raju fled like a boy. That was mentioned in this inscription, and this was corroborated by the traditional history of Koyas also. In Samakka legend also, the oral tradition. The oral tradition will be taught by a special community called Doli Koya, by beating Doli. Doli is a dole. Doli, the Doli Koya community will recite the legend of Samakka. In Samakka legend also we will come across a personality called Edama Raju. So Edama Raju was the relative of Samakka, and he was defeated by Rudradeva. That was corroborated fact in the inscription and their traditional history also. So what is the thing is, the conclusion is Edama Raju was defeated, and his relatives Samakka, Saralama, all these were defeated, and finally they became kings and queens, whatever you call. Ultimately, they became gods and goddesses because they fought for their fellow men, fellow folk. So tribals were protected till then, till 1159 AD. So that is the reason why their tradition, their local tribal tradition, these Samakka and Sarlama became goddesses, and they went on receiving worship by Koya community, and thereafter they received venerage, worship from non-tribal communities also. Will come across that point a little later. Next slide, please. So the fair, the biennial fair was in existence for 860 years now. By now it is 860 years old, because it was declared what we call first fair in 1159 AD. Now we are in 2023. You can count. Now it is some 860 years. Okay. So in 1996, government received many petitions from the people, because by that time, by 1996, many people flocked to the Medaram Jatara, and there was huge demand from people, pilgrims, to requesting the government to create facilities. So finally, in 1996, this Medaram Jatara became official, and from then onwards, government is spending some 100 crores per Jatara. So this is happening. In the picture, you can see the flag. In the Koya tradition, it is called Padige. In English, we can call it flag. There are motifs also. You can see the motifs speak about the history or legend of Samakka and Saralamma. Yeah, the cursor is showing. And in the picture, you can see this Jatara is visited by Honorable CM of Telangana region. And of course, this Jatara receives personalities from many states. From 8 states, we receive CMs, Chief Minister, Central Minister, Prime Minister, and other ministers also. They come to this Jatara in special flights, and they will visit this festival. In this picture, you can see official program, official Jatara, presenting that Honorable CM visited this together with his family. And alongside, you can see the Jatara chairman, who is called actually Vadde. Vadde means Pujari or priest. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yes, you can see there is a stream locally called Jampanna Vagu. Jampanna is the son of Samakka, goddess Samakka. And Jampanna also fought for the people, and of course he was killed in this stream, Jampanna Vagu. Earlier it was called Sampangi Vagu. In this is the place where the war is said to have taken place. Whether it has taken place here or not, we don't have any evidence, but it is said that this is the place where war took place between Rudradeva and this Koya community, and Jampanna was killed. The son of Samakka was killed here, and that is the reason why it was renamed as Jampanna Vagu. And today, every pilgrim is supposed to take holy bath in this stream, and especially water is stored for this Jatara for about 2 years also, And finally, before the Jatara, some weekdays before the Jatara, Honorable Minister or CM also releases the water into this stream, and this stream takes a round around a hillock, which is called Sammakka Hill, where Sammakka is said to have taken her what we call abode in a cave. So there will be a cave on the hillock called Sammakka Hillock, or locally called Chilkala Gutta. This stream takes round about that hillock, and that is the reason why this water is considered to be holy, and lakhs of people take holy bath in this Jampanna Vagu before worshipping Sammakka deity, or before taking her darshan. So huge congregation of people can be seen in this picture, and government also arranged pure water also alongside the banks. In this picture, so we have related Samakka Jatara to other places also. There are 2-3 things. I cited one example of 1000 Pillar Temple, which is located in Hanmakonda, some 110 kilometers from this Jatara place. So I cited the example of inscription. That is one thing. So this Jatara is connected with Hanmakonda also, 1000 Pillar Temple. The second place in country is Bhupalapatnam. Why Bhupalapatnam is connected with Medaram Jatara is Sammakka husband is Pagididda Raju. Pagididda Raju hails from Bhupalapatnam. Pagididda Raju actually was a king, Koya king, and his capital was located in Bhupalapatnam, which is on the left bank of the river Godavari, and we see Medaram on the right bank of the river Godavari. So left side, Bhupalapatnam was the capital city of Pagididda Raju, who was husband of Sammakka. So Bhupalapatnam is now in Chhattisgarh, Bastar area, Chhattisgarh state. So in that way, this Medaram Jatara is connected to Chhattisgarh area also. And Pagididda Raju, there are 3 words: Pagidi, Gidda, Raju. Raju, you know, Raju means king. Gidda is the name. Pagidi is what we call Pagidi, you know, in Hindi, turban. It's a symbol of royal insignia. So when a person becomes king only, he is supposed to hold that, wear that Pagidi. So Pagidi the Raju means the king who wears that turban. He was the husband of Sammakka, and that is another thing. And even today, that flag contains the motifs of Pagididda Raju, Sammakka, Saralamma, and other people who involved into this story. So that we talk about. And the other another important thing is, you can see in the picture, in the right side picture, left side picture is Hanmakonda temple, where 1000 pillars inscription is shown already. Right side picture is that belongs to one person, Pagididda Raju or Govinda Raju. Govinda Raju is the brother-in-law of Sammakka. So brother-in-law of Sammakka, Govinda Raju, and she has another what we call co-wife. Pagididda Raju had 2 wives, Sammakka and Nagulamma. So Nagulamma legend is also depicted on one more Padige. So the Nagulamma Padige comes to Medaram during the Jatara. Pagididda Raju Padige also comes to Medaram during the Jatara. Govinda Raju Padige also comes from a place called Kondai during the Jatara. Like this, many Jatara, many Padiges in this form. You can see that triangular flag, that is Padige. We can call it a flag. The legend of that personality is depicted in the form of motifs. So these Padiges will come to this Jatara in February. So this is the one. You can see how many people are depicted in that flag. Okay, next slide, please. In that way, Medaram is connected to many other places. and these individual padges are called Ilavelpus, Ilavelpu, local gods and goddesses. Yeah. So this is the place where Medaram Jatra takes place. This is the picture taken in 1984 by a photographer called Ram. In this photograph, you can see nothing is there except one pole, one stick. You can see here. Yeah, that is the one. That is the one that represents the goddess. And goddess Samakka is represented by two things. One is nose ring. The other one is Kunkuma Bharina. Kunkuma Bharina means the saffron powder box. Because she left only these two things to the Koya community, requesting them to worship them only. My nose ring and Kunkuma Bharini, you have to respect these things only, so that I will come to your place. I will listen your wishes and I will shower boons upon you. That is the promise given by goddess Samakka while she left her life in 1159 AD. And in this picture, so these pilgrims came there, sat there and worshipping in silence, so that the silence words also can be heard by Samakka, and they can present at the most one coconut. So coconut is presented, and in the left side you can see the heap of coconuts presented by pilgrims. So they sat there and wishing for boons. Next, please. Yeah. So these are the two important places in Medaram. One is the temple. Right side is presented a temple. So if you imagine temple in a big structure, you can't see. Here small hut only, mud hut only. That is the abode of Samakka in the village, whereas she actually resides in a cave. In the left side, you can see a tree. The tree is encircled by some enclosure. So there I have shown you one pole. So these are the two important things, because from cave a priest, and in fact two priests will bring the insignia of Samakka and will tie to this pole. So for 3 days she remains here, and pilgrims are supposed to respect this pole only for 3 days, and they can request for their boons also in presence of this pole. So this is the only thing. You cannot find any murti or idol or icon, nothing you will see except this pole and this temple. In temple also you will not find anything except some kunkuma and yellow powder, what we call saffron or whatever you call. Ladies wear na, that's it. Only two things you will find. This is the temple and memorial pillar. Next, please.
Sindur, vermilion you're talking about. The nose ring and the vermilion. So your vermilion bottle, yeah.
Yeah. Nose ring and kunkuma bharine, two things are there, no? They will be preserved in the cave only near Chilkalagutta. Nothing will be there. They will be brought to this pole and they will be tied to the pole, and the pole, the what we call kunkuma bharina or nose ring will remain there stitched to that pole for 3 days only. And that takes place, that jatara actually takes place for 4 days during Magha Masam. That means in February. In February, the jatara takes place for 4 days. It starts on Wednesday. Wednesday, Saralamma will be brought to the place. On Thursday, Sammaka will be brought to the place, and she remains there. Sammaka remains there from Thursday to Saturday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Only these 3 days pilgrims can have Sammaka darshan. After that, she will be sent back to that cave nearby Chilkalagutta. So that's it. This is the Jatara procedure of Medaram Jatara. And I'll cite one more example from another community called Kolam. Kolams celebrate Dasara. Everybody knows in India, Dasara is celebrated by every Hindu also. But here, in respect of Kolam tribals, it is different. So Kolams, you have to know some little background about Kolam. There is a temple called Tirumala Tirupati. So actually, Tirumala Tirupati, that idol was installed there by Kolam community only. After entry of Hindus, so-called sophisticated Hindus came to that region. These people left that region and migrated northward towards Telangana. So they left their god there only. So that is the background of Kolams. And even that Tirumala Charitra, Tirumala Itihas, whatever legend, Tirumala legend talks about this episode also. So that is the ancestry of Kolam people. And Kolams now reside in Telangana and Maharashtra border areas. So Telangana also, northern parts of Telangana have these Kolams, and Kolams celebrate Dasara. Everybody knows about Dasara, but this is somewhat different from regular Dasara of Hindus. In this Dasara, Kolam Dasara, there are two episodes. One is Ayak Dasara. The second one is Ura Dasara. Ura Dasara means, Ura means village Dasara. So that will be celebrated by all the Kolam communities in village. That is why it is called Ura Dasara. Before that, Ayak Dasara takes place. Ayak is a local word, Kolami word, whereas in Sanskrit it is called Arya. Aryanu, Arya, you know, everybody knows. Arya communities, non-Aryan communities we'll talk about. So Aryas are called Ayak in their language. So Ayak, which Aya? Their forefather. If they worship their forefathers only, they will be eligible to worship gods and goddesses also. So definitely they have to conduct puja to their ancestors, who are called Ayak. And there is one big ancestor called Bhima. Big means, you know, big means old and big in form also. So oldest forefather is Lord Bhima. Bhima actually means huge. So very huge Bhima, very old ancestor Bhima is worshipped by this community. And that Bhima is called Bhimayak. You know the story, Pandava story in Mahabharata. When Pandavas were in exile, Pandavas came to forest regions, and they stayed in a place called Virata Rajyam. Virata Raju was the king. So they took asylum in residence of Virata Raju. Then Pandava brother Bhima loved a Kolam girl, Hidimbi, and they married, and they got a child called Ghatotkaja. And Ghatotkaja also participated in the Mahabharata war. That legend you know. And those episodes, Bhima Hidimbi story, Bhima Ghatotkacha story, is believed by these people. But the interesting thing is, Bhima is worshipped in the forest region. Even today, symbolically, everybody leaves their houses and villages and goes into forest region. Only during night, they will celebrate Ayak Dasra. In this picture, you can see they are cutting one thing, but symbolic only. They are cutting, in fact, they assume that they are cutting the head of Bakra, goat, but they don't cut goat, but only Gumadkaya. What we Kushmanda? It is called Kushmanda. What do you say in English? I don't know. I am unable to recollect the English name.
Gourd
Kushmanda, it
family.
is.
It's
Pumpkin,
a
sorry.
pumpkin, yeah, it's a gourd family, etc.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, pumpkin is cut. So that is placed on a triangular setup, and their priest is cutting it into two pieces or so many pieces. Cutting as a goat head, and thereafter they will come to village and they will celebrate their own festival. Ura Dasara. This is Batakama, another folk deity. Now I gave you two examples of tribals. Now I am giving you one more example, folk tradition, folk fair, folk festival called Batakama. This is the largest festival of Telangana region, and women in the village compete for building a huge Batakama. In the picture you can see longest, highest Batakama with huge flower setup. You can see this. And in the next picture, I gave you some details. This Batakama festival is held in Ashvija Masa, that is in October. In October, there are two segments. One is for 7 days. For first, it will be celebrated for 8 days. The florist Batakama for 8 days. First 7 days is celebrated by girls only, and this is called Sibi Batakama or Boddemma. Boddemma means small Batakama, or Sibi Batakama means Sibi is the plate. Bamboo strips plate, that is called Sibi. Since the flower setup is heaped up on Sibi, it is called Sibi Batakama. So for 7 days, girls only will celebrate that. They will every day collect flowers and build that Batakama and sing songs in the guidance of elders for 7 days. Except they don't celebrate on 6th day, because that is the holiday for girls, and 7th day also they will celebrate that festival. But on the last day, that is 8th day, is the big Batakama. In local parlance, it is called Saddula Batakama. On that day, girls and women also take part in that big flower festival, Batakama festival. And in the evening only, in the evening hours, after evening hours, all the villagers, men and women also, visit the nearest pond or stream by carrying these Batakamas on their heads, and finally they will immerse Batakamas and Boddemas into the stream or local pond or tank, and that will be the end of the Batakama festival. So this is the huge thing. And there is one more festival called Bonalu. This is also symbolic to endemic, particular to Telangana region, and this will be in the beginning of rainy season. In the beginning of rainy season, this will be held. This symbolic is bonum. The carrying one is bonum. Bonum is nothing but bhojanam in Sanskrit. Bhojanam, meals. So every person wishes for good amount of meals, the availability of meals. So that is the reason why in the beginning of rainy season, every person requests the god, or desires that we should get more crops during this season. And the symbolic is what we want. We want this one. So this is the communication between people and gods or goddesses. Goddesses, there is no goddesses. Actually, precisely, there is no name. Amma only, Bonamma. Amma, mother goddess only. So people wish for more bhojanam, availability of more bhojanam in this season. That means more crops they are wishing. And male people, they cry like anything by beating themselves also. And a special form of dance also will be there by using that whip. So all the people, villagers, go to nearest temple and submit. In fact, submit their wish in the form of bonum to the goddess, mother goddess, and that will be given. That will be bestowed by the goddess in the form of a special person. One woman will get possessed by mother goddess also, and she will tell the future what kind of rains you are going to get. Lesser amount of rainfalls, or more amount of waterfall, what we call precipitation, and what are the crops you are supposed to sow, so that you will get more crops. So that is predicted by a special woman, and in that way that will be celebrated. And this is also iconic festival of Telangana region. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Satya Garu. Proud to hear from you. And once again, for a beautiful picture of Telangana. I may now invite Roshni, architect Roshni Murlidhara. She would be talking about the festivals in Bangalore. So architect Roshni has done her MA in conservation from University of York, UK. She has worked with various heritage conservation organizations like Masons Inc. in Bangalore, Sapedia Intact Bangalore chapter. She was an Intact Heritage Academy research scholar and a Sapedia UNESCO fellow for the year 2019-20. She is currently working with an assistant professor of School of Architecture, River University, Bangalore. Welcome, Roshni. Happy to see you here. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me and see the screen?
Yeah.
Thank you for the introduction, ma'am, and for the opportunity to present in this webinar series. So today, the presentation that I'll be making is a culmination of the research that I've done with Intact Heritage Academy on Cultural Tourism and the Sahapedia UNESCO Fellowship Research on the Bengaluru Karaga, and the work that I carried out as a conservation architect with Intact Bengaluru chapter when we worked on the World Heritage Nomination dossier for the sacred ensembles of Hoysala. I'll be specifically speaking about two case studies in this presentation titled Festivals in Rural and Urban Context. So I'll be talking about Bengaluru's Karaga and Belur's Brahmotsava festival. Just to give you an outline on the presentation, I'll briefly discuss the definition of cultural tourism, its typology, and the factors that influence cultural tourism, and get into the details of both the festivals, talking about its cultural traditions, the folklore, legend, and the historical context of these festivals, and how it impacts the cultural tourism in both of these regions. Cultural tourism can be defined as a form of special interest tourism where culture forms the most important crux that either motivates people to travel or that attracts tourists. And there are four important factors that drive cultural tourism, mainly the tourist itself, the tourism component, the cultural heritage asset component, and how the tourist consumes or how he or she experiences the whether it is a built heritage aspect or an intangible heritage aspect, how he experiences or consumes the products. On the right hand side, you can see the different classifications of cultural tourism. There's a varied range of this, which is industrial heritage tourism, sports tourism, medical or healthcare tourism, eco wildlife tourism, coastal tourism, business tourism, dark tourism, culinary or food tourism, diaspora tourism, and three interlinked tourisms that I'll be talking about today, which is the intangible heritage tourism, built heritage tourism, and specifically focusing on the religious or the pilgrimage tourism. And it can be defined as the tourism or the kind of tourism which people undertake to fulfill or satisfy their religious requirements and gain access to divine blessings. And this particular type of tourism is the most prevalent one, especially in developing countries in India. Moving on, first example, the Bengaluru Karaga, its history and traditions. So there are a lot of connections to the previous presentation that Dr. Satya made with respect to embodying Shakta power in this Bengaluru Karaga as well. So a lot of you can correlate, I hope. So the origin and legend associated with this festival, and again, we also call it as Jatre here, not as Jatra, just Jatre, just a change in one of the spellings. So it's also called as Karaga Jatre. It's celebrated in the Chaitra month, that is in March, April of the Hindu calendar annually in Bengaluru and its surrounding areas, mainly by the Tigala community who migrated to the Bengaluru region during Devagowda the First's rule, who is considered as the founding father of the city. So they came to Bangalore as horticulturists, as lake settlers, and gardeners. So it is started off as a festival celebrated by this particular community, but today it has grown to become a city-based festival and one of Bengaluru's most important civic festival that is celebrated annually. So the main theme of this festival again is associated with a lot of legends from the Mahabharata. And the most important narrative is the birth of Draupadi in the form of Adi Shakti, that is the goddess of power, to fight the demon Timarasuram. And the second aspect is she is visiting Earth as a part of a promise she made to the ancestors of the Tigada community. So this is one narrative wherein to just elaborate on the story here, it is believed that when Draupadi, just getting back to the narrative here. So it is believed that Draupadi, along with her husbands, the Pandava and Krishna, was on her way back to heaven after the exile, and she was teased, attacked by the demon Timrasura, but her husbands and Krishna had already entered the realm of heaven, and so she acquired her goddess Adishakti form, and she defeated Timrasura, and from her warrior sons were born. And these warrior sons are considered as the ancestors of the Tigala community who celebrate this festival in Bangalore. So this is one important narrative, and there are other folklores and tales associated with it, but this is the most important one and the most heard one that has been transformed from generations to generations. And how it is associated to Bengaluru is that it's with Bengaluru's cultural landscape and its natural landscape, because when Kempegowda established the fortification, he realized that Bangalore doesn't have a natural source of water. So he built a lot of these lakes, step wells, etc. within the market fortress town of Bengaluru at that point of time, because of which it acquired the name Kalyanapuri. So this Karaga festival actually celebrates this unique geography of the city, wherein each of the 12 days that it is celebrated across, it visits different historic tanks, etc., and step wells that was constructed during this 16th century time period, and we offer prayers to the goddess for good weather, especially rain and peace in the city. And it also marks the advent of spring on the full moon day, one of the important days of the festival. So it is considered a very bad omen if the festival is not celebrated in the city. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, the community made sure just about 5-6 people who are very important to perform the rituals. Like you can see on the right hand side, the main priest here, he is called as the Karaga Pujari. I will talk about the important people who perform each of the rituals later. So just stressing on the importance of this festival for the city. Just moving on to the next slide. Basically, the word itself has a lot of different interpretations. So I've just picked the most important ones, where the term Karaga itself, it's refers to the earthen pot that the priest carries, like you can see in the image here. This is also called as the Karaga, the earthen pot that is made from unbaked clay that is acquired from each of these historic tank beds. And the priest himself and the pot together are also called as the Karagam. And another interpretation is actually breaking down the word into 3 different parts. Karaga, where ka means kayali muttade, which means without touching by hand. Ra means rundadali darisi, that is bearing on head, and ga means gatisivudu, that is moving around, because on the last day of the festival, the Karaga priest moves around a specific route that has been identified. So this is also the meaning of the word Karaga as well. Yeah, moving on to the important locations within the city where the festival is celebrated. This is the Dharmaraya Swami temple in Tigalarapete, which is within the historic core that I was just talking about. And this is one of the very few temples dedicated to Pandavas and Draupadi within the city. So it has a history of about 800 years, and it's built in the typical South Indian Dravidian style of architecture. So as a part of the research, I also marked the important locations where the Karaga moves along, and also the procession route and some of the other important locations. So why this map was really important is that actually the Karaga moves in 9 directions within the historic core of the city as a part of cleansing the city. It's called as Shuddhikarana. So as a part of cleansing the city to receive the goddess and her power during this annual Karaga festival, on each of the days, that is the 12 days, of the 12 days, 9 days, the Karaga priest visits each of these locations that have been highlighted along this. So this is the fortification that I was talking about. Today, nothing has survived, but we can still see the footprint of this historic Pete area. And the Dharmaraya Swami temple is on this edge that you can see. And this is the procession route on the last day of the festival. So these are the different locations that the Karaga visits. So moving on to the important ritual players, as in from the community of the Tigalas itself, important ritual players like the main Karaga Pujari is identified, who will be carrying the Karaga on his head. Apart from him, there's some the Veera Kumaras, who are considered as the brave sons of the goddess. And you can identify them from their clothing. They generally wear white pants, linen pants, and these red scarves around them, and the garlands. And they also carry a sword. So their main task for the entire 12 days of the festival is to protect the Karaga. That is, nobody should get very close to the Karaga, because the Karaga priest also is in a rage, because according to the legend, the goddess has just waged a war against a demon, and everyone is trying to calm her down. So that's the idea of the main task of the Veera Kumaras. Apart from them, there's the Kula Purohita, who is the community chieftain, the Kula Gauda, the Banka Dasi, Gante Pujari, and of course the women and young girls of the community, who play an important role on the 7th and the 8th day. I will be speaking about each of these days in detail. Apart from these other places which have been mapped in the map which we saw earlier, these ancient Garadi manis, which refers to gymnasiums, is where the Karaga priest follows a strict diet and an exercise regime for 6 months. So is identified 6 months before the main festival itself, that is during Dasara in October. He is identified that he will be carrying the Karaga this year, and every year generally the person chosen to carry the Karaga is a different person, but from the Tigala community. So he trains himself here through a strict dietary and an exercise regime for 6 months to prepare himself to carry that very heavy Karaga, or the earthen pot, which weighs about 25 to 30 kgs. And also he cuts off all relationship with his family and prepares himself to receive the goddess's energy as well. So just moving on to the important days and the activities associated with them. So the first day is the Dwajarona, that is the commencement of the festival by hoisting this yellow color flag that is called as the Dharma Dwaja. Dwaja in Kannada means flag, or the flag of morality, which is mounted on this bamboo pole that you can see. This bamboo pole again is specifically brought from a place called as the Jaraganahalli forest, which is on the suburbs of Bangalore, by this Tigala community people. These are the other important from the community. He is the main Kula Gauda and the Kulapati, or the Kula Pujari, and this is the identified Karaga priest. So they are tying this yellow woolen thread as a mark of cleansing this entire thing. It's called as kankana. So before starting any auspicious occasion, they generally tie this yellow thread. So that's called as kankanam. And on the first day after this bamboo pole is hoisted, which is generally at night, because all the events of this particular festivities are performed after sunset and before the sun rises, because this particular community, the Tigala community, and the particular sect within the community which celebrates this festival, the Vahinikula Kshatriyas, they follow the lunar calendar. So this particular place that you can see in the picture, it's called as the Upunirina Kunte, or the Karagada Kunte, which is a part of Kabban Park today. So the Gange Puja, that is where they go and worship the water body, is performed here on the next day morning after the flag is hoisted. And there is a people tree within this premises, which is worshipped, and rituals are performed here. You can see flowers, garlands, and fruits, etc., being offered, and also the symbolic representations of Draupadi, like her, like turmeric, kungum, haldi, bangles, silver anklets, etc. All of them are also offered here at this people tree. So this is a mark, or this people tree represents the first sign of Draupadi coming on to the earth, or it's the first time we are being ready to receive Draupadi on earth. And on each of these days, right, there is a different type of decoration that's done for the idols of the Pandavas and Draupadi. And you can see the Karaga here behind as well. What is interesting about this slide, why I specifically wanted to put it, is all of these decorations, etc., comes from the Muslim community, because they are good in these kind of decorations. So it talks about how syncretic this particular festival is. There is another story that adds a lot of value to a syncretism aspect. I will talk about it later. The next important location is called as the Hasi Karagada Mandapa, which is very, very important. It is visited on day 3 and day 7. Again, here Gange Puja is performed, and on day 7, it is where the birth of the goddess happens inside this mandapa. And you will see in the next few slides how crowded this place gets on day 7 when the birth of the goddess happens. Another important location is the Muneshwara Swami temple, which today is in Sudhamanagaram. It used to be the place where the Tigalas used to reside earlier. A lot of farmlands and a lot of water bodies were there, but today none of those survive, and only this particular temple has survived. So puja is performed here as a mark to commemorate the place and identify each of these important historic water bodies. The other temples where water bodies existed earlier is the Jalakanteshwara temple, which is located on the bed of the Kempambudhi Kere, which is the Kempambudhi lake. The lake still survives, but it has reduced its size. So this particular temple on the left, it is on the lake bed. So puja is performed here, as well as the Ganesha temple, which is close to the KR market, which used to be where the Siddhi Katte, which is another small water body that used to be at the edge of the fortification that we earlier saw. So all these temples that are visited today were a part of historic water tanks. So this particular temple that you see here, the Annama temple, is located on the bed of the Dharmambudhi Kere, which today again doesn't exist, but the temple itself only has survived. Another interesting aspect of this particular temple is that these are local boundary goddesses like Annama Devi, Mariamma Devi, Patalama Devi. All of them are also visited and are invited to be a part of the procession, because it is believed that Draupadi has a sibling or a sister relationship with each of them. And on day 6 evening, a very important particular tradition called as the Arati Deepotsava, or the Festival of Lights, is conducted in the Dharmaraya Swami temple premises. And that's when the women and young girls of the community play a very important role. You can see all of them carrying these deepas, which they themselves make from pounded jaggery and the clay, and they themselves decorated with symbolically jasmine and these flowers, which is locally called as Kankambra. Again, why jasmine? Because jasmine is believed to have cooling effect. So all of these women are again trying to cool the goddess down, who's in a rage of the war, and they pray to the goddess for fertility reasons, and also the young girls pray to her to get a husband like Bhima. So these are the other kinds of decorations that happens in the temple premises during Aarti Deepotsava. And this is the most important day of the festival, that is the birth of the goddess. This is the same Hasi Karaga, which was visited on day 3. And this is in the wee hours of the morning around 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., where you can see inside, it's all surrounded by the Veera Kumaras. Nobody is able to see what is happening inside. So it is where the birth of the goddess happens on the day 7 early morning. And the Gange Puja still continues along different locations in the city. So this is the Mariswami Matha, another important location where the Gange Puja happens. You can see the puja being performed by the Karagada Pujari and the Banka Dasi with him. Apart from day 7, day 9 is another important day of the festival, where the Pete Karaga procession happens during night. So after sunrise around 7 o'clock is when the Karaga procession starts, and up until 4 or 6 in the morning till the sun rises, Karaga keeps moving in the particular route that was shown in the map earlier. This is most important day, and this is when most number of visitors, not just from the Tigara community, but from across the city and from the suburban region around Bangalore visit the city. So it kind of adds to the regional cultural tourism of Bangalore at that point of time. It is believed that especially only on this particular day, that is day 9 night, around 5 to 10 lakh people visit this very small Pete area. It has very small, narrow alleys, etc. So there's a lot of people on these streets on that night. And these are some of the other locations visited during the Karaga priest, the gymnasium where the priest would have trained, etc. And other important locations within the historic Pete area is also visited. A very interesting aspect of the procession during the night is that it also visits this Hazrat Tawakkal Mastan Dargah as a commemorative event, because there's a legend associated with it that when the Karaga was moving around at one point of time many years ago, because of the crowd, the Maulvi of the Dargah was hurt, and he cursed the Karaga that it will not move until I am pacified. So turmeric from the Dharmaraya Swami temple was brought and applied onto the Malvi's feet to pacify him. And as a mark or to commemorate this event, the Karaga also visits this Dargah. So there's a lot of syncretic associations with this festival as well. And like I was mentioning, the other goddesses within the city also visit the Karaga on the 9th day. So they also come decked up on their palanquins and chariots. So this is Patalama from the temple in South Bangalore. On the last day, 9th, the marriage of Draupadi to Arjuna commences. So again, there is a belief that Draupadi spends specific time of the year with each of her husbands. And so this festival also marks the end of her marriage to Bhima and the beginning of her marriage to Arjuna. So the last day procession is all about that, where the marriage happens, and then there's another pallaki or a procession chariot that happens in the night. And they all end up in this small temple called as the Yelosuttina Kote temple. So this is where localization of this folklore happens, because it is believed that it is Draupadi's maternal home. And Potha Raja, who used to be a local ruler of Bangalore at that time, is considered to be her brother. So to mark again this relationship between Draupadi and Potha Raja, after that procession and the marriage, they visit this particular temple. Again, it is a very, very small temple that comes to life only during the Karaga festival. Otherwise, the rest of the year, it is just only morning prayers and evening prayers happen here. So what does this Karaga festival mean to the city and its people, and how it impacts the cultural tourism of the city itself is something that I leave it open to all of you, and we could discuss upon this further. So just moving on to the Belur Brahma Rathotsava, there are a lot of similar features, elements between the two of I'm talking about, because this also involves a Rathotsava, with nothing much translates into a procession of the chariot. But what is interesting about this particular festival is that it happens at temple complex in Belur, which is a historic temple town in the Hassan district of the Karnataka state, which is now in the process of getting a world heritage status under the title of Sacred Ensembles of the Hoysalas. Again, it is a 12-day chariot festival that celebrates the marriage of the main lord here, which is Chennakeshava, and his marriage to his two consorts, that is Soumya Nayaki and Ranga Nayaki. Again, this festival also is very syncretic, because the very commencement of the festival begins by reciting verses from the Quran. And the Chennakeshava temple is an ASI protected monument. So there are a lot of foreign tourists who keep coming here, and regional and national tourists who visit the temple otherwise the rest of the year. But specifically during the Brahma Rathotsava that happens again, which is around April, March, all the people from the surrounding villages assemble here to witness the marriage of Channakeshava to his consorts. So just getting into the details of the different days. So this is an aerial view of the temple, if you could see here, and this is the temple complex. This is the main temple complex here, which is the Channakeshava temple complex. And this is the Kappe Channagaraya temple, and this is the Veeranarayana temple. So these were added to the temple complex during the Hoysala time period. And these other temple that you see here, this is the Soumyanayaki and the Ranganayaki temple, the temples dedicated to the consorts of Channakeshava. So basically, along these 4 roads that you see is where the procession of the chariot or the Ratha happens, along these main roads that you see outside the temple complex, and parallel roads to this, that is called as the Vaikuntha, the road to heaven. This is the main road that leads to the temple complex, and this road that you see here leads to Vishnu Samudra, which is where on one particular day rituals are performed in a water body which is called as the Vishnu Samudra, which is a part of the Bishtamina Kare, the main water source for Belur town. So again, on day 1, the ceremony or the festival is commenced through the flag hoisting on the Garuda pillar, which is inside the temple complex here. What happens on each of the days of the festival is the marriage of the deities through something called as the Utsava Murti. That is the Murti that are specifically made for this festival are brought out from the, the treasure that is there within the temple complex. Each of the days, certain specific rituals are performed, and Channakeshava is married to his consorts, and they are taken on a procession on different kinds of rathas or chariots. So in each of these days, if you could see the words, yes, Shesha Vahanotsava, which is procession on a snake idol, procession on Hanuman idol, procession on Garuda idol, procession on Swan idol. So on each of these days, that is what predominantly happens, and people from across the villages, they deck up the entire temple complex here. I'll just show you in the next few slides. So this is the main chariot that is taken across on the main day, which is the Brahma Rathotsava day. And this again is the along the Vishnu where the ritualistic traditions are performed. So this is what is the Hanumanotsava, the Hanuman idol on which the consorts and the Channakeshava Lord are taken on a procession along those 4 roads. This is the Garuda idol on which the procession takes place. And this is the main day, that is the Brahma Rathotsava, and this is the main temple, the Channakeshava temple. In the background, you can also see the Kappe Channagaraya temple. The procession has just started here, and it will go around 1 round within the temple, and then it will come out of the temple complex for the procession. That also has been mapped here on different, it's color coded. This was done as a part of the nomination dossier within TAG Bangalore. So this is the main temple complex, and this is the Belur fortified city. Parts of the fortifications have still survived. So, and this is the route taken to the Vishnu Samudra and the Bishtamina Kare here. The picture on the top left side you see is that of the current Yuvaraja, or the prince of the Vottery dynasty. Since they were the last ruling dynasty of the Karnataka region, they were the ones who were taking care of this temple complex much before it came under the ASI protection. So as a mark of, and their family has done a lot of donations for the temple complex and its preservation and conservation, and for the conduction of these events. So as a sign of it's the association of the Vottery family with the Belur temple complex and Lord Channakeshava, every year the main Yuvaraja visits this particular event as well. And these are some of the other pictures from the festivities. So a lot of Vaishnava traditions, the putting of the Nama and things like that. And this is the views from the Vishnu Samudra as well. And across the days and nights, all the women and the young girls of the who've come from different communities from the close by villages are decking up the roads, making massive rangolis and things like that as well. And this is the main road leading to the Chennakeshwara temple complex. This is the main gopuram of the temple decked up for the festivities. And that is where I will conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Roshni. It was great to learn about Bangalore, which we generally don't know because Bangalore is a cosmopolitan city and we know very little, I would say, about it. So I would now request our last speaker of the day. Another interesting person is we have Nandhini with us. Architect Nandhini is an emerging conservation architect exploring her stream of interest, opportunities, and passion. After graduating with Masters in Heritage Conservation and Urban Regeneration from Ahmedabad in 2020, she has been part of UNESCO accredited NGO, primarily working on the conservation and promotion of lesser-known art forms and crafts of Kerala. And she's also involved with Intact Kasaragod chapter in advocacy and conservation of local built heritage. Welcome, Nandhini. We are eager to hear from you. Amay, will you share the screen?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll share the screen.
Great.
Yeah. Shall I continue?
Please go ahead, Nandhini. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Okay. I want to thank everybody for the opportunity. And this presentation is completely about my experience in Kerala. How like my past 1-year journey in Kerala, where I was working with a cultural heritage organization, which is completely different to the architecture background I was from. So this is a point of view of a person, like a cultural tourist who is new to this complete area and this complete sector. So that's how I have presented. I have planned for this presentation also. So yeah, the main goal or the main focus of this presentation is like Kerala. We like there are different parts like in Kerala. We know very little about Kerala. We know very little art forms about Kerala, but there are so many traditions and so many culture. Out of which the participation of women in these culture and the festivals and the art forms and performances actually inspired me to take a step closer and to understand why, how, like what is the reason, what is the emphasis given on them. So that is the main idea of this presentation. So yeah, next slide. Next. So here, I just want to give an introduction about like what is festival and what is the significance as an element in the overall society and everything. So according to UNESCO, in any community, festivals are an important showcase of culture and creativity that the cornerstone of economic development strategies to attract tourists. Thus, to simply define, festival is a themed public celebration. So when we call a festival, it is a performance of certain belief, or it is an exhibit of certain culture, like it was mentioned here. But it is like end of the like everything has or belief system, or every festival or every art form, every celebration has a reason. So that reason is something different, and that is the reason makes every festival unique and distinct in this in the culture diversified country of ours. And how these festivals actually impact in the overall macro level. So economic development, cultural integrity, sustainability, and tourism aspect, like by how it impacts the economic development, how it impacts sustainability, all those I will discuss in the next slide. Next slide, please. So this is a indicator prepared by UNESCO, like you can find it in the report and everything, how they value the intangible culture. Because like if it is a tangible heritage, we can see, we can calculate it, we can do numerical calculations, we can say, we can decide like it gives this much of value and it has this much of potential, it can revenue this much of it can generate this much of revenue. These are the sectors that can be involved because it is a thing that can be seen, that can be like it is tangible, right? But for intangible, like mostly the festivals and these kind of intangible heritage, it's very it's very difficult to like understand like how they are growing or how they are contracting, how they are diverging, how they are changing. That is the important thing. So you know, have this indicator thing, like how they can assess or they can value the growth, the ICH impact in the society and everything. So how they are connected with other sustainable goals also, because this cultural heritage and natural heritage safeguard is a very small target of this big goal. but the impact it creates on other goals and how directly and indirectly it is connected with other things are actually very intriguing. And I actually experienced these kind of, like, for knowledge and skills, cultural training, artistic education, cultural knowledge, all these things I actually larger scale, how they're impacting the development in a bigger scale. So next slide, please. So like we have like 14 ICH in the representative list of UNESCO Intangible Culture Heritage, out of which 2 are from Kerala. The one is Mudettu Ritual Theatre and Dance Drama of Kerala, which is a story of Kali, who after the Vatha, she comes, and to cool her down, they do these kind of art, and then how like it's a narrative of Kali's Vadha, Daragasura, and all the villains and stuff. So it is a narrative of that particular story. And Kudiyatam is a, like, it has entire setup. Like there is a Joker character, there is a moral character, there is like several characters together. They narrate a story, which is like, as you know, like it's a Sanskrit theatre. So these 2 are the main art forms that when as working in an NGO, when people they want these 2 performances or other performances which are very musical and kind of stuff. But there are many more art forms that are like equally important and equally valuable, and they are far distinctive and unique. So with that thing as my lead, please next slide and next slide. Next. So yeah, so with that inspiration, in both the art forms, Mudettu doesn't have any women involvement, because I interacted with a guy who worked on it in a school listing, and he was like, he has this belief that when we tried once, it actually created a big. They had this flood that time in Kerala, so there was this belief that he thinks that it is maybe due to the change in the actual tradition, the impact of the reason why we don't involve. So Mudettu, and out of all art forms I got to experience here, only Mudettu doesn't have even a single women involvement. Every art form, this Chanda, it weighs like several kgs, but women just carry and they just beat it so happily for 4 hours, 5 hours, and they walk all like along the parade. For the Rajpath, recently we had this Rajpath event, no, in Delhi. Women troop was sent and they performed along the Rajpath in that hot heat sun for 4 hours. Initially it used to be only where guys used to play, but later women also started participating in, and they take over it. People are really interested to see how women are doing it, because in many from the society where I come from, we are allowed to learn art forms, but we are not allowed to perform it in the public place or something. Because I learned Bharatanatyam, I know how to sing, but I'm not allowed to perform. It is certain mindset that is in certain society and which need to be changed. And this is an example where we have to let the skills flow out, let them exhibit their skills and things. And also there is this another the second one, which is Charadakuttu Kolkali. It is specific to Kannur area. They have the center pole and they play, they tie several like Dhandiya, but you don't do it independently. You just have to connect it to the pole, and then you have to dance accordingly, and then you have to do all those movements and like these kind of things. And it is very, for me, with my limited knowledge and travel, I found this is very unique about Kerala, because with the role, the power women has been given in the society, and the right of expression they have is something like we should actually try to see through in a broader sense, and try to adapt it in a different places and models also. So next slide, please. So these are the other art forms which has women women participate. Like they are the heroes of the show. It's not like they just come and go for a scene or something, or they just sit and do something. They are like they take the show, they run the show. So first one is Nangyar Kuthu, where the women is the lead performer, and next is Kadakali. We all know Kadakali. That is Shela Vradam, where Krishna and Kushela Rukmani, that interaction, it is narrated in the Kadakali performance. and that is Yakshagana puppetry. Mahila Yakshagana is there, which is like performed by women only, where women dress as male heroes and they perform this art form. And this is Panjari Melam, where kids are involved, like all the girl kids and like children, they just come there, they start learning from their childhood, like, and they perform. And that is one set. And next slide, please. This is Tiruvadara Kali, which is like they make women dance according to like music. They sing and dance with a particular step, like it's like Garbha. It reminded me of Garbha, but it is not that fast and peppy. Something very classical and traditional kind of thing. Opana is a Muslim celebration, like where a woman who is about to get married, or when a girl need to get married, or she's about that age, they perform this thing. They sing songs about marriage, they sing song about womanhood and everything, and they do this performance. It's mostly like that is Opana, and it is mostly of the Muslim culture thing. And but everybody, like not only Muslim perform, like every Hindu, everybody do that in a different way. And next is Mangalam Kali. It is a tribal dance which is performed by women when a girl is getting married. So it's for marriage, and we all know Mohiniyattam. Yeah, next slide, please. So as like like out of 8 art forms I discussed previously, I'm sure that people will know like minimum 3 to 4 art forms for sure. But certain art forms are not well established because they are though they are performed in many places, people are not aware of it. Like that was the intriguing question that was in my back of my head. Like why? If it is so famous here, it is so famous in abroad, why it is not famous here? So considering that, I researched and I was able to get 3 festivals that primarily focus on women, like how women is the center of the narrative as well as the performance and as well as the ritual. Not just performance, like entire festival that revolves around women or connecting women together. So that is the main theme, and that is how I selected the festivals also. So first one, next slide, please. There are 3 festivals I have selected. One is Puram, next is Chamaya Velakku, third one is Attukal Pongala. Puram is very specific and it is performed only in northern part of Kerala. Kannur and Kasaragod only have this particular festival, which I am currently living in, which I got to live here for like 1 year. But unfortunately, I couldn't experience this because like 2 months, like there was this thing which I was not able to understand about where I'm going through. So I had to miss this festival. And Chamaya Velakku and Attukal Pongal I happened to visit, and it was, oh my God, it's so majestic and everything. And Chamaya Velakku, I'm looking forward to go attend that. So these 3 are the festivals. It was very inspiring and it was very new, and it was very like something that I felt like worth sharing to everybody. So first one I'm going to discuss about is about Puram. So next slide, please. So Puram is an important festival performed as a part of the 9-day celebration at Thiruvarkadu Bhagavati Amman temple. So goddess Kali, like how after the Vadham she comes, and like she has been perceived in different names, and Bhagavati is very famous here. And it is that particular temple is one of the oldest temple in Kerala. And this ritual has been performed like these people for like several years, and it is like a tradition that it is still continuing by everybody. And it's called Puram or Purotsavam. Is connected to a mythical story of how Lord Shiva and burned Kamadeva with his 3rd eye. The temple I was talking about is about Kali, but this particular Puram festival is performed for Kamadeva, which is like when we all know the story that after the death of Satya Devi, Shiva went and he sat for meditation, and he wasn't like nobody could get him back, right? So in that case, what happened is Parvati, she went and asked help of Kamadeva to spark the lust inside him. So when he did that, and then Shiva he opened his 3rd eye with anger for disturbing, just for like he was pissed with, he was angry with Kamadeva, and he opened his 3rd eye and he burnt him. So after that, Kamadeva's wife Rati Devi, she went and asked Vishnu like to help, for a solution. And Lord Vishnu suggested that worship Lord Shiva with your husband, like just create a form of your husband in the flower and just worship God, Lord Shiva, so that he will come and he will he can resurrect your husband. So when Rathi, she collected flowers and she made a urva of Kamadeva, and then she prayed Lord Shiva, and impressed by her prayer and everything, Lord Shiva granted that Kamadeva will be he will be available, he will be as a soul, but he won't be as a he doesn't have a figure, he will be as a soul. So that is one narrative, and there are two more narratives where Brahma, it was connected with Brahma also, but end of the story, it is how Shiva burnt Kamadeva and how he came back, how his soul came back to life is the thing. And that is the concept of this festival also. Next slide, please. Previous slide, please. The right bottom image that you're seeing, it is an art depiction of Kamadeva made of flowers, and that is the temple which I was talking about. That is the goddess idol. Yeah, next slide, please. So this is the ritual how they perform at the in home and all. So so it is people who worship goddess Bhagavati as their primary god. They perform this ritual for sure. It is a mandatory thing. So here there are two set of narratives which I when I interviewed. So one set of narrative I got was if a family has a girl child, before she attains puberty, they have till then she has to perform this ritual where it is a 9-day festival, right? So it will be performed all 9 days, where the kid they in the morning they wake up, they bath, they do fasting and everything, they go get flowers, and they make this they just put it before the god and pray. So for 8 days, it is never they never come up with a form. It is just gathering a flower in front of the lamp and then praying the god. Last day, the 9th day, they for the from flowers from the past 8 days, they collect all the flowers. They don't throw it away after every end of the day. They collect all those flowers, and last day they create a figurine, a form of Kamadeva on the floor. And then they, in some castes, they have this in the right top image. If you can, I wish you can see, there are this small blob of soil mud thing. It's like how we make small ganapatis, no, in turmeric. They made something like that in clay, cow dung, and so and mix it with salt. So that is Kamadeva, a physical form, a 3D form of it. So there will be 5, there will be 7, everything is an odd number. So some people make it only with flowers. They don't do that small thing, that clay thing. Some people, they make both. So that is how every day they make it, and then they save it, and last day they finally put it out. So in the bottom left image, if you see, that is the flower arrangement. I was telling you, they make a figurine of Kamadeva on the floor on the last day of all the 8 days flower. So that is how they do, and this is how they perform. They have to have a diya, and they have to kindi, which is that water, that one with the trunk kind of that vessel, and they have this plate with dhoti, mundu, and all those leaves, they have the specific dish called purada and pura kanyi. So they used to serve it with that. So that is the basic setup of the festival, or that 9-day thing. Next slide, please. So the festival, it has it has a span of 9 days, right? The first 3 days is performed in different, all these festivals, not performed in one particular room. First 3 days it is performed near the well, and the next 4 days is performed in the courtyard, and the last 2 days is performed near the place we call puja room. They have a different term which I forgot. So these are the 3 places where they actually pray. They worship, they create that entire setup and they pray. Along with that thing, there is a ritual that is happening along the temple also, because the starting which is the first day of the festival, they have this ritual that will be followed in the temple, and at the end of the day, after 9 days, the 9th day, they have this process where everyone, the child, everybody, they go to temple, a particular temple, Martambadi Shivan temple. It's a Shivan temple. They go to that temple. They take bath in that particular temple's pond. It's called Pura Kuli. So that is how they conclude the session. And the right bottom corner, the picture, no, that is the, like, when on the last day they get all the deities out of the temple and they take them to the pond and they submerge them in the water and they take out and they do the ritual and they conclude the entire celebration of 9 days. And the left one, bottom left, is the art form that is performed during this festival. Like, it is, though it is a 9-day festival, it starts like a month before. Like, there are certain community which, like, they will, if that is the first time for the girl child, they will take the child and they leave it in the temple along with others, and that kid will be there for 1 month, like work like in the temple precinct and doing all those rituals that will be preparing her for this 9-day Puram festival. So it is not just a 9 day, there is this pre-production where all of them were they reside in the temple, they live with the people, priest and everybody, and they were taught certain things, and every ritual that is a different sector. And it's a, like, that 30 days is actually not common to everybody. Some certain caste perform that, but most of the caste, they don't do that. So it is just the 9 day, but preparation happens before. That Purakali is like performed during, not during the 9 days. It starts before itself. So this was performed completely by men. No women is there. They put a lamp in the center and they dance. It is a mix of martial arts, like the movements and steps and everything. The kalari, we call it kalari paiche. So they have this inspiration of kalari paiche, and there is this inspiration of Tiruvadara, and many art forms are, steps are like, they have this influence from other art forms also, but it is completely like mainly performed by men only. And like only particular certain community can do this Purakali. Not everybody are allowed to do this Purakali. Certain community that has to follow this like ritual. There are many people who are graduates and like they have been working in abroad, but still they continue learning these art forms and traditions so that it's still there in their, the culture. And the top right image is called the guy in the center, no, with all the jewels and weapon. He is called Velichapad. He's the guy who is believed to be the one possessed by Kamadeva. So after 9 day, 9th day ritual, like after completing that Purakuli, he visits every, like not every, the upper community, the upper class. He visits the houses of upper caste people, and he gives blessing to those people. It is like Kamadevan is visiting your home and blessing your family a prosperity and this thing. Next slide, please. So interesting fact is there is certain set of process, right? Like how to do this ritual. Like it is very specific that they use only certain set of flowers, they use only certain set of ingredients to make a dish, and certain set of elements will be there in the thing. So the 5 flowers which you can see I have put there are the like mandatory. These 5 flowers should be there and should be performed only with these 5 flowers. Actually, the hibiscus is the recent addition. Middle row, right flower, red flower is not available, so people just. But except hibiscus, the other 4 flowers are the like the ritual is supposed to be performed only with these flowers. You can't add like a lot more flowers or other flowers. It has to be completely with only these 4 flowers. And as I was saying before, like how the setup is, like left bottom, you can see like there is a plate of ari, which is rice, and over that they will have mundu. And can you see the two delicacies, like sweet thing on the leaf? It is called, that is the one called purada. It's like in Tamil Nadu we call it kolkata. For Ganesha Chaturthi and all, we make this rice flour bat, like a chapati, we make it and we stuff jaggery and coconut stuffing. No, it's kind of that, and they steam it. So right bottom photo is like how they steam it and what kind of leaf they use it. They use this kind of leaf only because they don't use banana leaf for this ritual. It is completely this kind of leaf. And the middle photo, the photo in the center is like it's kind of it's called kanyi, but it is very similar to chakra pongal or sweet pongal we make during pongal celebration. I don't know how many people. It's made of rice, jaggery, coconut, and banana, smashed banana. We don't put banana in that pongal, but they put this thing and they make this pudding kind of thing. And these two are the primary dishes that will be served to the kids and everybody. These two are the dishes. There is no more, there is no less. And these are the flowers used, and this is the setup. And that you can see that left in the middle row left, those eye kind of thing. So they are like during Ganesha Chaturthi, we open Ganesha's eyes with these. So here for the last day, 9th day, they open the eyes of Kamadeva with these small seeds. That's the eye they use for when they draw the figurine on the floor and to open his eyes. That is the thing they place it in the center and means that Kamadevan has entered the house. Yeah. Next slide, please. Previous slide. So this particular festival is performed, like I was saying, there are two narratives. One is when a girl, it should be performed by a girl child before attaining the puberty. After attaining the puberty, she is not allowed to do it. So there is this one narrative where people are so fond of having a girl child because so that they can perform this particular ritual. Because the place I'm working, there is this like nobody has girl child, and one woman had like she has a girl child, and she used to say like how the entire family celebrated that they had a girl child, so now we can finally perform this Puram at our home. So like that is one kind of narrative where like as it is being performed only by women, and that too before puberty, it is not something continuous. If the next generation doesn't have a women child or it is completely a boys, it stops. They have to wait till there is another birth of like a girl child or something. There is another narrative where it is not in Kannur Kasaragod, but little bit away from the main core precincts I'm talking about, where women, irrespective of puberty, irrespective of getting married, irrespective of anything, they perform. So here the narrative is if I'm the child, like I'm the girl child, and I attend a puberty, and there is no I didn't give birth to any girl child, but everybody are like boys and everything, I have to perform it. So I will be performing the ritual. So it doesn't stop at the age of like in the previous case, how it stops, how it ends when the puberty hits you, right? But it is not like that. She will be performing, and it is not about age or marital status or nothing. She will be performing until there is a next women to carry on with this. Not daughter-in-laws can do it, just the daughter or a son's daughter, like that. They have to do it. So the mother or the grandma will be doing it till there is next person to take over it and this thing. So like in this two narrative, the previous one where I said like after puberty they can't perform. So like it is like a non-continuous, but actually very how to say, like they're very fond of that festival. Here it is continuous, but still they're fond of that festival. Just because it is being done every year, it didn't lose its uniqueness or distinctiveness. They think that doing this ritual every year is like worshipping for your family, worshipping for your daughter, worshipping for your, like, for example, this ritual is performed requesting Kamadeva to give a like good husband and good fertility and everything. Once after the puberty, that girl is not allowed to perform. So it means like there is a break. But here, even after getting married, even after having children, the women is still performing. She's performing to the prosperity of that generation. So it is like too long to continue, to have the to continue the generation. So they are pursued in two different ways. But Kannur Kasaragod people believe in this puberty thing where they are not allowing girl child after puberty to perform this ritual, and this is somewhere bit like bit far, a little bit far from the core precinct where they are performing it with this kind of narrative where it is both have their own arguments and stuff. So yeah, next, I don't want to take time. I will get into next festival. It is art called Pongala. Pongala is like similar. Like Pongala is like where you keep a pot and Pongal where you boil rice and that is the thing. So this particular ritual it actually inspired me because it is called Shabarimala for women in Kerala. So Shabarimala, we all know the story, no? Like how the fight is still going on, women and all that, not allowed and everything. This is the temple where like only women participate, women from every part of the Kerala, like even if they're not in Kerala, they can come from anywhere, any part of the country or anywhere. They can come, they can stay, and they can do this ritual. It is not bound to Keralites or it is not bound to Indians. No, it's for everybody. Anybody can come and have this celebration. It's a local government holiday, and so this is the temple, like Artikal Bhagavati Amman temple. So this particular festival has a world record. In 1997, they recorded 15. They recorded and attend like there were 15 lakh women participated in this particular celebration in 1997 and 25 lakh in 2009. Those 2 years they crossed. They just made a Guinness record because no festival was ever like recorded this much of only women participation, and that is only done by women. So that is the significance of this particular festival. Next slide, please. So it is a 10-day long festival. The last day is when they all like, can you see how they have this stone, they have the setup and they keep the pot and they do this. They started from the morning, right from the early morning. It goes till like sunset before, like we have to finish it before sunset. And then they go and serve the prasad to God and then they worship and they take it back and go home. People who come from different places, bottom, middle photograph, different places, they keep that pongala in the precinct of the temple itself. People who are the natives, they keep it like in the road, like on the road before their houses. They just make the setup and they just do the pongala thing. So and so that is Sabrimala Purman. The deity worshipped here is Kannagi. Yeah, that is an interesting one. So this the deity worshipped here is Kannagi. After proving her husband's innocent, burning Madurai on her way towards Kudangulur, Kannagi stops at Atukal. And it is believed that when she stopped here and she was embraced by people and her anger, her rage got cooled down and she came to her original state where she attained a calmness and everything. So that is like, this is the point, this is the spot that stopped or controlled the rage Kannagi had for the injustice she faced. So that is one of the narrative and that is the importance. And same, this festival is performed by women for their husbands and for prosperity and everything. Next slide, please. This is my favorite festival. This is Chimaya Velakku. Sorry, Chamaya Velakku. Chamaya means evening. Velakku means lamp. Okay, evening. Like the ritual happens mostly in the evening. Okay, so here, such a beautiful guy. Like there are many photographs you can search online. Like how they're so pretty, and there is this contest going on every year where like men fight over like who dressed the best, who dressed the prettiest, and all those kind of things. So there is this temple at Kotangulangara Devi temple. So it's performed. This entire ritual, women can attend, but men are the prime, the performers. They dress as women, they come and they do all the rituals every day women do, and so that is the thing. The temple, the Devi is like assumed to be the Swayambhu who originated on her own. And there is also another story where like several years back when boys were playing in the jungle, they found a coconut, and when they wanted to eat it, when they wanted to break it, they used a rock and they broke it. But instead of water, it was bleeding. The coconut was bleeding. So they were like scared and they went to the priest and then they asked the priest and the local person like it must be the incarnation of goddess and we made a sin, so we have to build a temple, and you the boys who broke, you have to like go and worship. You have to build the temple and you have to worship. So there is this one narrative where it says like as it is a goddess, to show their respect, men wore their dhoti in the form of sari, like covering the top part, and that's how the sari tradition evolved. But I'm not sure about it. I have to research about it like in depth. But this is just like a perception, like how interesting this is. So that is how the story came, like why men are doing this and everything. It is performed in this particular temple. And only Kollam has this particular. Only this temple has this particular ritual. No other place. All the three festivals I'm talking about, it is very specific to the area, and it is not similar. It is not like you can find it in other parts of Kerala. Next image, please. That is the myth I was talking about. All these three beautiful people are women, and there is this, I heard that there is this competition also where there is this contest and everything. They select like 5 or 10 well changed men, and they have this show and everything that happens like side by. Like, this is the ritual where they go like diya and worship God. If people want to keep pongal, they can also serve it like that. And this is just an interesting thing because it is a perception. Like there is, our society is currently like, I want to say an example where being it's an NGO, right? So we train different kind of people. When we wanted to train transgenders and involve them into art forms and educate them and train them and help them to, create a livelihood for them, they are like always hesitant saying that, no, we don't, like people will always like ask before, until they know that we are transgender, they treat us with respect. But once they know that, the perception changes and we do not get the respect we usually get. And we have interacted with them. We have been trying so many things, but they're not showing involvement. Like from that kind of narrative, this is completely different. There they are like, it is that kind of concept, right? It is like a guy becoming a woman for a day and he knows like everything and he's embracing the womanhood. So like they are respecting that particular change. They just don't do makeup. They shave facial hair, body hair, just for that 2-day celebration, and they keep wigs, they do oil, mascara, like they just go to saloon and they go to parlors to do this. They just don't take it seriously. Like, okay, let me shave the mustache and something. They do completely pakka work. So I want to like conclude. I mean, pin it down in one point where these cultural festivals and everything you're talking about is like, we say it intangible, but all the tangible has intangible value, right? But like, what is tangible heritage without intangibility? If this particular ritual, a particular tradition, if this particular belief goes off, the importance of that temple or importance of that particular built heritage is gone. So they are not separate. Tangible and intangible is not separate. They are together. They are tied together. You can't separate them. Okay, chalo, this has this much of intangible value, and chalo, this has this much of material value. No. Like recently, when we were asking people to protect these kind of art forms, everything, like what is going to generate? It is not going to generate anything. It doesn't have to generate anything. It has a bigger scale, no, where it is beyond money. It is beyond something. Where everyone have to respect the culture. If you have to protect a tangible heritage, you have to protect the intangible heritage connected with it, and you have to value the process, the belief system that is tied along with it. Because without this, that temple doesn't have value. Without this particular process or this belief system, it is just a structure where a deity is there. Even if you don't believe in God, there is no point in building temples. Like even similarly, like I want to conclude, like heritage is something not just about old structures or old traditions, old rituals. It gives a broader sense how people perceived and how people are perceiving it now, and what are the mistakes we did and what are the takeaways we can take. Like women, like how they are celebrating women. Like I never seen in any part of with my knowledge, women, like they're not allowed to go out and perform. Like the society treats them so badly. But here, women are encouraged, children are encouraged to learn, children are encouraged to perform. They love that 4 or 5 hour heat, carrying that 30-40 kg of chanda and shouting like with that josh. They have that energy performance. Like that is what the art forms gives. No, like that is the energy you have. That is the kind of connect you need. It is not like gender is not a limit. It's not. It's even a thing not to be considered. Is what my point is. The main reason I'm taking women is like how it is embraced. Like how different part of the country is embracing different kind of things. So how Kerala is embracing women, how significant and how important women play a role in the society, in the culture, and the power they have, the social structure women possess is completely inspiring. And I just wish everybody like to have a perception on this and take forward things with this inspiration. That's it. I'm sorry if I had taken too much time, and there are these reference links, some of the reference links we can refer to.
Thank you, Nandhini. It was, I would say, I was spellbound with all the 3 sessions with a lot of variety. And I would first say thanks to the speakers who have taken time and efforts to present the work, then to the audience who have come around, and also the people who are watching later. I mean, we have the Facebook recording also. And definitely to my co-coordinators, Roshini and Shri Ame, and Ananya ji is also here. So thank you very much for a wonderful evening. And we are just hoping to see all the panelists together in the next Saturday. That's our last episode. Ananya ji, any words from you? I have been following up the chat. Yeah, we do plan to do whatever you have suggested in the last Saturday. May I request everyone to switch on the camera? We close the session here. Amay, Roshni, thank you very much. Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone.